Well, hello and welcome to all of our viewers around the world. I'm Fiona Lang-Sharp, IBCLC Director of Communications and MC here at Gold Learning. Welcome, everyone, as you join us here today. We are talking about celebrating IBCLC Day with Rebecca Costello. Welcome, Rebecca. It's so good to have you here today.
Oh, it's great to be here.
So excited. I have to say, you and I have been talking about this topic for a while. We're already promoting it online, so people need to check out, what's happening. But today we're going to dive a little bit deeper just to give people a little bit of insight. The topic that you are sharing on is when the same thing happened to me, self-disclosure and personal experience in lactation counseling. How on earth did you come up with this, Rebecca? I just what is happening in your life?
Yeah, well, I started as lactation consultant in 2010, and I
Hmm.
did not yet have any personal lactation experience, although, like I say in the talk, I had a lot of experience being a human, right? So there
Right.
was
Yeah, yeah.
there was things that came up with patients where there was things, that we shared or that I wanted to share with them or talk about. Um, and so I certainly had experiences with self-disclosure and kind of making decisions about what to share and not share with patients around that.
Oh,
And then I became a lactation mentor, and I had a lot of students who were thinking about how do they kind of navigate their own experiences and their own sharing. And so I was talking through it with students and guiding them through that. And then I had my first baby after, basically after like 10, 11 years of being a lactation consultant, I had my own baby and then I went back into practice. And then I
right.
had this whole new set of things to kind of mentally negotiate about, what do I share? What do I not share? What's helpful? What's not helpful? And it got me thinking about what I can what should I do? What should I say?
Right.
How should I counsel my students?
Yeah.
And so I started looking into the research and I just was like, what does the research, what does the literature have to tell us? What have other people written and said about this? And it just got to be a really interesting topic. And like Fiona, you and I have talked about, the more I talk about it with other people, the more people get excited and interested. And I've just hear so many stories from other people and thoughts from other people about their reflections on this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of things I'm going to say so that people know, because I know you and I get very excited about this topic, but I want people to come and join in on this conversation as well. And they can do that by actually coming to our webinar. We're going to be celebrating IBCLC Day on March 5th. It's coming up right away. And so you're actually going to be with us celebrating that day. This is going to be a free and open access presentation, which is fantastic. It means anyone from any walk of life can actually come in. I've told everyone in the perinatal field they need to be here. They need to be here for this conversation. And we talked about it being collaborative and everyone, because people are going to have lots of opinions about this. Okay. And people can head over to the website, goldlearning.com, register today. This is a no-brainer. Go do it now. That being said, I want to dive in a little bit deeper because you and I, we've talked a lot about this. Listen, I come from an era where maybe not me, but my parent was raised also as a healthcare provider, and it was a big no-no. You do not disclose anything. Yeah, it's just, and that has been instilled in me, even though it's different for me. But my mom, she'd be, no way, you don't disclose. So what changed? What changed in that, Rebecca?
Well, I think it's interesting that you say that, and I'm curious to think about kind of levels of kind of authority in healthcare practice because I
Right,
suspect that people with kind of more power
right.
and an authority, right, in the healthcare kind of hierarchy always felt like they could kind of say what they wanted to if they felt like it, right? And people
Right.
maybe lower down in the hierarchy didn't feel as free to share or like there was more of like a risk to sharing. But I think there was always kind of a sense that, it was better if you didn't share so much, it was more professional, right? Um,
Exactly.
and despite the very human impulse to share and have stories and tell stories and create a narrative and connect with other people, right? That's all a very human impulse. But there was this kind of feeling that we should kind of keep that walled off. And I
Mm,
think more more and more people recognize like, hey, this happens, right? This is a human
Right.
impulse. It's happening. People are doing it. Let's look and do some research around like, is it beneficial? Is it helpful? Is it a problem, right? When does it happen? How much does it happen? So I think people have started to recognize like, yes, it does happen. How do we manage it? How do we make it useful for patients? How do we make it useful for providers? And so just kind of thinking about that that reality, right? This
Right.
happens. How do we manage it? And right, also we're in a much more sharing culture. And one thing I've
Sure.
thought about as I prepare this presentation is that a lot of us are asked to become brands, right? In
Right.
promoting your lactation business, right? To promote your brand. And so much of that is about, for some people, personal sharing, right? Like I
Hmm.
exclusively pumped, so here's my narrative, or, I had these challenges, here's my narrative, or I had this success. Here's how you can, copy me, right? And again, it's this external pressure. We may not even feel like we want to share it, but there may be
Right.
this pressure, or people coming from this background of kind of coming from a social media space and coming into the visit with people already knowing things about you that you might not have shared, just sitting down in the
Exactly.
visit with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and this goes back to, you talked about branding, but how many people go into just the lactation field because of their own personal experience, right?
Yeah, right.
How many people end up in this area of work because of what they experience themselves? And so
Mhm.
I would love to know what that statistic is. So we need to do like a
Yes.
poll, online to see,
Yeah.
and maybe folks will tell us, down below in the comments, a little bit about that for themselves. But yes,
Yes.
you're absolutely right. Even with physicians today who might have had more of that hierarchy, in the
Mhm.
past, I am
Mhm.
seeing more and more
Mhm.
self-disclose. And more recently, I was with a professional who's a neurologist, and they self-disclosed that they were in the profession because of what happened to their family. So I
Mhm.
mean, that is incredible amount of work
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
passion if you think about it.
Mhm.
The other thing that I find so fascinating that you have taught me is in the subtle ways, because when someone says, "Oh, I don't self-disclose,"
Mhm.
let's just back it up for a minute, because you are going to be showing us all the other ways that we are disclosing, uh,
Mhm.
albeit not maybe verbally, in a
Mhm.
conversation or experience, but
Mhm.
how many different ways that we're actually disclosing with our clients. Does
Mhm.
that fascinate you too, Rebecca, when you started looking at that?
Yes, absolutely. And there was all these things that I might not have thought about, and also, right, privileges and things that I don't have to disclose, right? So somebody having a visible disability, right, versus an invisible disability, or,
Right?
a specific type of religious like clothing or jewelry that they always wear versus religious expressions that don't have such outward, expressions, right? These different people have the ability to disclose or not self-disclose, based on different kind of backgrounds they come from. So that was really
Right.
interesting to think about.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. And then beyond that, how it impacts the client,
Hmm.
in the way that they either respond or not
Hmm.
to what then, leads to some type of
Hmm.
conversation, and then, on
Hmm.
to planning,
Hmm.
for that breastfeeding journey. But
Hmm.
and so this really goes beyond every wall and every behavior that we really have. It's just we could talk about it at length. I think in the presentation, what people are going to be taking away is actually some real insight, because we're going to share together too. There's going to be some
Yes.
sharing and
Yes.
interaction together. But also, what I love that you've put in there is that you've put some scripting in there and some tools just to
Hmm.
see how you can actually manage that. Particularly, like you
Yes.
said, having autonomy is really important for all of us
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to disclose everything.
Yeah.
And how do I kind of stay away from that without feeling like I'm holding back? So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's going to be a
exactly.
good one, I think, right, Rebecca?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's, we talked about this as being kind of a guided conversation where we're all reflecting together, right? Every one of us
Right.
is coming with our own, like I said, human experiences, backgrounds, everything. And it's just thinking about like, how do I take this topic, take this theme and use it in my life and in my practice?
Yeah. I think this presentation is actually going to really enhance our counseling skills this year. And so I can't wait really for people to listen to it and, join in this conversation and then hear the outcomes as they put it into practice.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to make a difference when we have that awareness. So thank you so much. I'm so excited. March 5th, you're going to be with us
Yes.
live. It
Yes.
is it is going to be recorded, so people will be able to come back, of course, and listen to it again and again, or maybe they're busy that day. But think about that day. It's IBCLC Day, and we really want to celebrate all the IBCLCs out there. You don't have to be an IBCLC, of course, to come. We want to just elevate all of the hardworking, persons in the field. So I'm looking
Mhm.
forward, really, to have you. So you can head over to goldlearning.com right now and register for this event. You will be able to get a free CERP with it as well, which is really exciting. A little bonus there.
Yeah.
And of course, you will be in the company of Rebecca and myself for that time. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for putting this together.
Thank you. I'm super excited.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you on the day. But for now, it is time to say goodbye. So have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. Bye bye.